top dressing in wheat. And Alan, let's talk about that a little bit.
And that's a question, Mark, we get a lot of every year, and we participate in that the wheat top dress market very well. And AGROTAIN has several fits. First of all, when you apply urea, whether you're streaming it on, you're trying to get the product to the ground at the most beneficial time. And when you apply it to the surface, it can go through these volatilization losses very readily. And as research is now indicating, these losses can be very dramatic. This 30% or so can even happen in cool situations. Now, it's not possible to incorporate the nitrogen in wheat, obviously, whereas in some of the other crops we have that option. But in wheat, this is one that we see great benefits from the use of AGROTAIN and AGROTAIN Plus when top dressed early. And as you get into the growing season, wheat can be top dressed multiple times in some cases. And
really?
Oh yeah, and some of the opportunities with top dressing wheat is some pre-plant fertilizers applied, but most of the nitrogen, so to speak, is actually applied in the spring. Volatility is an issue, as John has shown you, even in colder weather. Urea is usually more popular in terms of side dressing than liquid due to equipment and speed. So all of those are good recommendations for the coming season. And as we look again at wheat, and we're going into an environment that's residue laden,
sure.
And we're going in and with the urea portion of the nitrogen, we're very prone for nitrogen loss. Oftentimes we used to say if we get on early enough, we'll avoid volatilization. We don't believe that's the case anymore. We think volatilization can happen basically any time that the urea containing nitrogen is on the surface. So it's a good idea to protect it from those losses. If we're top dressing early, another thing that we may want to keep in mind is the potential for denitrification and leaching. This is where the AGROTAIN Plus type products can come in and kind of take some of those losses out of the equation. And it's sure hard to write with your left hand.
Yeah, well, I'm left-handed. It would be easy for me, but I feel your pain in reverse.
But at any rate, there's an advantage to using a nitrogen stabilizer or particularly AGROTAIN urease inhibitor or AGROTAIN Plus in all wheat top dress situations. Loss is always a possibility when urea containing nitrogen such as urea or UAN solution is applied to the wheat. And this is illustrated many times in research that we'll show you here in just a little bit. So good place for AGROTAIN products is in top dress of wheat.
Absolutely. And here we're seeing, and this is a hard red. I mentioned obviously there's the different types of wheat. What are we looking at here?
Well, this is a study done out of Oregon State University by Dr. Don Hornick.
Okay.
You notice on this hard red winter wheat study, we had a 30 bushel yield advantage. He also did a white winter wheat study, which we had a 10 bushel increase over just straight urea. And then if we go to another study that was done in Missouri, we can actually look at about an 11 bushel advantage using AGROTAIN Plus, which is our triple inhibitor that protects from volatility, denitrification, and leaching. And if you look at that 11 bushel advantage, realize that it takes about 1 bushel of wheat to pay for the AGROTAIN treatment. And out of that, with wheat running at about $4.75 a bushel today, you can see in 1 acre that you'll get a $44.75 increase, and that's nothing to laugh about. Yeah. I mean, if you're a farmer, that's really good money. And then if you look at an average size farm, let's just say of 300 acres, you're talking about $13,000 increase in bottom line to that farmer. And that is amazing when you think about saving a little bit of nitrogen takes you a long way toward increasing your bottom profit, your bottom line.
Absolutely. And looking at, is there other crops, we would likely get a call or two about that perhaps. Will it work on something else, some other grass like whatever it might be? Have you done any research outside of the wheat belt in other crops like that you can't incorporate?
Right, and I would tell you this, that again, we are urea containing fertilizer specific. We have studied many crops, everything from vegetables to other grasses to forages to the cereal grains.
Sure.
And we find that it works in every case.
Absolutely, and again, back to the when, how, and you made a point that we want to make sure we cover with viewers once again. Obviously, you can incorporate here, so the how, when, and how to use and when to use AGROTAIN as it relates to top dressing wheat. Let's recover that again.
Right, and if and I always tell folks, if you were going to have a rain event or precip or irrigation in the amount of 3/4 of an inch or more, then I'd tell you, you don't really need the AGROTAIN. If you're that good at weather forecasting, then maybe you should be working for the Weather Channel.
Working for the Weather Channel.
But nonetheless, other than that, if you're going to put your variable nitrogen on top of the ground, it will pay you almost every time to consider using AGROTAIN in that. And as we go early, and we're trying to go earlier, and there's lots of advantage to going early, particularly if you're split applying wheat top dressing. As you go early, remember that nitrogen is going to be there a long, long time before it has the opportunity to grow the crop. And so in those cases, if you have soils that are prone to staying wet or leaching, soils that leach, then we would encourage you to also look at a nitrification inhibitor, such as AGROTAIN Plus.
All right, well, we've mentioned before, many of our caller questions have to do with how does this work in my particular situation and practices that I have here. And now is your time to give us a call. And we have a new call-in number, by the way. And those of you who have watched this program from the beginning, you will have a new number to call. It's still toll-free, but here it is, 1-877-731-6733. That's 877-731-6733. 6733. Our telephone lines are now open, and you can begin calling now. We look forward to answering your questions. Now, earlier on an AGROTAIN program, Dr. Rick Normal was with us. He's with the University of Arkansas, provided a helpful overview of the AGROTAIN products. We're going to revisit that right now with Dr. Normal's comments, and when we come back, we'll take your telephone calls with our guest here tonight, more about AGROTAIN. But right now, here are comments again from Dr. Normal from the University of Arkansas.
I'm Mike Adams, host of the AgriTalk radio program, and tonight we'll be discussing something that's very much on the minds of a lot of farmers, fertilizers. More specifically, though, nitrogen and how to make it more efficient. Dr. Rick Norman from the University of Arkansas, thank you for being with us. When we say nitrogen loss, what's actually occurring out in that field and with that plant?
Okay, nitrogen loss, there's three main avenues, and you've mentioned a couple of them, as Mike has. Ammonia volatilization, leaching, and denitrification. What a urease inhibitor does, like AGROTAIN, is it's going to block that urea conversion to ammonia gas. Instead of letting it take place in 2 to 5 days, it's going to make it take place over a 10-day period. So if we apply our nitrogen and use a urease inhibitor in combination with a nitrification inhibitor, we can minimize those three in-loss processes and therefore cut a better yield.
Mike Stegman with us, president of AGROTAIN, and tell us a little bit more about the operation and this family of products you have available for farmers.
First of all, we've got several products specifically targeted for agriculture. AGROTAIN is our keystone hallmark product, and it's a liquid product. It's put on dry or liquid urea, stops volatility. Our newest product is a dry form of AGROTAIN. And then finally, our product AGROTAIN Plus, which is also a triple action product containing the urease inhibitor and nitrification inhibitor, and that's for use with liquid fertilizer.
Dr. Norman, let me ask you this, because you come at it from the scientific side of it. You would not endorse a product that you didn't believe in, hadn't done the research on and seen the results on.
No, we wouldn't. And what we're endorsing is the urease inhibitor that is trade name AGROTAIN. Whether other companies sold it, we'd still be endorsing it. It's not AGROTAIN we're endorsing, it's the inhibitor itself that AGROTAIN owns.